let's name some ions. Look in chapter 9.1. So for this, define monatomic ion, that's going to be an ion with only one atom, and a polyatomic ion, that's an ion that is made of more than one atom. Think molecules. Name monatomic cations using the stock system, the 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be pretty simple. Identify common cations and anions, and that's more of a walk around the lab and kind of see what you see. And name monatomic and polyatomic anions. So how to name cations? Well, this is as simple as it can get. A monatomic ion is just one ion. So a cation, a monatomic cation, if you're thinking like an alkali metal or alkali earth metal, just say the name and then say ion. So like potassium, what is the ion? Oh, it's a potassium ion. What about calcium? Well, that's a calcium ion. Oh, they have different charges. Well, yes, you don't have to say the different charges for ones that only have one charge. Calcium doesn't come in multiple flavors. It's just calcium 2+. And you should know what that is if you know the periodic table. So it's just calcium ion. How about monatomic anions? Well, the charge is determined by your group number -8 for groups 5, 6, and 7. Now, we're not talking about group 4, that's carbon, and that's not really going to form an ion very well. So group 5 has a -3 charge, group 6 has a -2 charge, group 7 has a -1 charge. Those are the halogens there. And the anions are the element name with "ide" as the ending. So fluoride, oxide, nitride. Now notice I'm not saying the numbers because those are things that we know. Nitrogen has generally one type of ion. That's going to be the 3-, nitride. What about if you can make multiple cations? Well, this will be some of the transition metals can make multiple cations. This is actually pretty simple if you know what you're dealing with. So like, let's say chromium here. 2, 3, or 6. You notice how they have different colors? We'll get into that in lab a little bit. So let's say you look at that chromium. You're like, oh, what about a chromium 3 ion? That's it. Chromium 3 ion. What about an iron 3 ion? Well, that iron, and then the charge is 3 ions. So that specifies it from the iron 2 ion. You just put the number there. Well, why Latin numbers? It's just the way we're doing it. Manganese 7 ion. That's kind of impressive. This is what's called the stock system. You're going to see that on a lot of your modern day tubes and stuff. Now, if you're going into some ancient laboratory and you may start seeing like those weird names, you're like, it's ferric chloride solution. Well, what's that? Well, the classical names use endings for the Latin root. So iron is ferrum. So lower charge is OUS or ferrous, and the higher charge is ferric. So you'll go back to that and you see iron has 2 or 3. So ferric would be iron 3. Okay, that's wrong on the PowerPoint there, but the iron 3 chloride, so FeCl 3 actually. And table 2 is going to show the, table 9.2 shows the old names, but really when you come to high school chemistry, we don't do that here. Polyatomic ions are ions made of more than one atom. So you're going to use the name of the non-oxygen element. And it's going to be ite for smaller numbers of oxygen, 8 for larger numbers. And you're thinking that sounds kind of like we don't do that here, those Latin ones. Admittedly, yes. But you will get to know these as you go on. So it's just, yeah, sometimes you just got to memorize things. Nitrate is NO2. Nitrite is NO2. Nitrate is NO3. See, I'm still getting them confused, but you get used to it after a while. You got sulfite and sulfate, phosphite and phosphate. So those are the general ones you're going to deal with a lot. What if you throw hydrogen in the mix? Well, phosphate, PO4, 3-. When you add a hydrogen, that's a positive charge. You're going to say hydrogen and then the polyatomic ion name. So hydrogen phosphate is going to be HPO4 and it's a 2-. Dihydrogen phosphate is H2PO4 and it's only 1- there. And the exception, of course, is sodium is bicarbonate. So hydrogen carbonate is called bicarbonate. Well, why is that? Well, sodium bicarbonate, see here's Arm & Hammer, that's baking soda. That's just something we have so often. It's got its own kind of special name. So here's kind of the little practice time. Be able to name the ions and the compounds on the other side, then look them up and see what they're used for. This is some kind of fun ones you're going to find around your house, hopefully.